welcome once again to Working for Scale, episode 6.
Not too bad. Deluxe Doctor Strange Legends figure with 3 heads.
Well, that's a lot of heads that come in one box.
That's right.
Not enough to solve this mystery you guys are dealing with, though, huh? You need a few more than 3 heads.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I think you have a total of 6, including the butterfly and the dog.
That is true.
Sorry, cat.
Cat?
They're closer to cats than they are dogs.
Yes.
Oh, hyena. Yeah, or it's like an African wild thing, right?
It
Yeah.
does make his heart sing. It makes everything groovy.
It's a completely divergent carnivore,
Yeah.
something like.
Debobe is our party mascot.
I think Debobe sees the party as his mascot.
But
Her
what is this mystery you're all working to solve?
So last time we were given a new task. We had to meet with an attorney, Cillian Conley, who works with Rhyme. Basically, they had like an informant type person, Phineas Ashworth, that had stopped communicating with Cillian.
Phineas isn't an informant.
Oh, okay.
Phineas is just a client of Cillian that Cillian is managing the estate of.
Okay.
Yeah, he's no rat.
Well, I sort of thought, I guess, based on the description that he was, but basically the gist of it is he stopped communicating with the attorney, and we need to basically get him back on his right path of, assisting with whatever his work is, or else the Ministry of Magic will arrest him. So we decided to start with Mr. Conley first to kind of get a better idea of what we were dealing with. Let's see. He told us that Ashworth was being very cold and standoffish, and it's a real change from how he was previously. He is normally a loner and keeps to himself, and he's about to inherit a lot of assets, and he was looking forward to that. So basically, he gave us as much information as he could, and after we met with him, we had food, and we decided to make a visit to the Ashworth home after he got home from work. 3 of us went in while Al and Debobe stayed outside and kind of, were keeping an eye on things. It went kind of poorly when we first approached the house. One of the guardians, who was a female gnome, Cecilia, answered the door, and she didn't want to let us in, but Frey was able to kind of smooth things over. And she said that she was kind of concerned because there were 3 guys that had been by to speak with Ashworth, but we told her they were PIs. She went to get him to talk to us, and they were talking in a foreign language. Another short blue-haired man came out and joined Cecilia, and they had a heated argument. His guardians came back and said he didn't want to talk, and he told them it was none of their business. And he made Cecilia cry. They said that maybe if we come back tomorrow, he'll talk to us then. So we said we would. Meanwhile, Al had noticed something strange about a tree. There were some footprints. There was a fox-like scent and claw marks and a trail of dirt leading away. And we found a bit of fox hair. From there, we decided to canvass the neighborhood. The first house was really just concerned about those darn kids. The second house was much the same, and somebody had knocked over his milk. The third house, there was a cat, and Frey was able to speak with the cat. And the cat said that they had seen a person with a fluffy tail and long hair that walked on 2 legs and was about our size. And from there, we were going to head back to the ministry and do some research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you make your way back to your private office to discuss the findings that you have and where you want to go from here.
Well, that was disappointing. I suppose it wouldn't just be that easy, right?
I mean, there's a reason she gave us a few days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't going to get it on the first tryout. I mean, that would be the luckiest of luck. So, we just eliminated a dead end, is all one could think of it.
The fox person sounds pretty cool, though.
Yes.
Have you guys met a fox person before?
No, I was thinking maybe we should research fox people and see if we can find out more information on what that might be about.
Maybe
It's in-
Bobby knows. Can you ask her?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Sure. I look down at Debobe and go, you know anything about fox people?
Debobe just kind of looks up at you and...
I dance around and show a fluffy tail coming off my butt and kind of put my arms up to see if that helps.
Debobe tilts her head and looks at you.
You know? Oh, she likes me.
Does
That's nice.
Can Frey understand Debobe, and Debobe's just choosing not to talk, or how does that work?
Debobe is not technically a cat, just more a cat than a dog. And so, unfortunately, Frey cannot speak with Debobe.
Unfortunately, it seems my power is limited to cats.
Well, that can still be useful. There are cats everywhere.
So I, as usual, I'm going to overinterpret. Debobe says Debobe has never encountered a fox person.
I wish there was a way that we could share this memory and figure out what was being said in that strange language they were speaking. But we really can't afford to tell other people what we're doing.
What do you think we should research besides the fox people?
At this point, the thing with the fox people are really all we have to go on.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems to be we're going to have to start that basic level. As pointed out, we do not come from a world where shape changers are at, so that's what we know, right? Anything else would be kind of metagaming, I feel.
I don't know, is there anything we could learn in the library about the Guardians, or did we already look?
I don't know if they would keep those sort of records in the library. I'd be more inclined to think that they might have something on fox people than records of Guardians, but I could be wrong.
They might have something not about those Guardians in particular, but about Guardians.
Oh.
About the process.
You're talking about the law and the way that a guardianship would work.
Mm-hmm. Maybe other examples.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I went
in
the same
history
place
or-
she went. Yeah, okay. I was like, why would they know wouldn't they keep their organizational information secret? Yeah, that sounds good. Let's go to the library.
Okay.
So, what is first order business of searching?
Do you want to
fox
divide up into
people.
2 teams?
We can do that.
What are said teams and what are said questions?
I
gonna
will
look-
be researching fox people, sort of seeing if there's anything on fox people, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And
Wendy, you
who
wanna
is
take the point
searching
on
with
the
you?
guardian thing? Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
Who is searching with you?
I can search with you.
Okay.
Hey, I'll go with Whitney and we'll look up the guardian stuff.
Okay. So from Narissa and Frey, I will need a knowledge nature check.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh.
All right. And then from Eli and Al, I will need a knowledge local check.
Oh, Lord.
Any chance a stealth would help here?
No.
I'm sneaking through the books.
That just means you move more slowly through them. Because you only get half your movement. It's not coming through, Charles.
But I don't have knowledge local even on my
Oh,
sheet
you can
yet.
do it because you're in a library, remember?
Oh, that's right. I took the skill off my sheet. Oh, like a dummy.
Just click on... do you have any of the knowledges listed there, or did you take...
I do.
Okay, just click on one of them, and I'll eliminate any ranks that are attached. Okay.
Did it go through?
It did.
We've
All
been
right.
eliminated except for
So, Frey and Narissa are looking through books, looking for something about fox people. And Frey, a couple of things that you will encounter. The first is you've got sort of a way about the library. Going to the library was one of the other places that you could go to interact with people and not be judged by your family. Just from time to time to have people around. Not necessarily like interact per se, but the librarian was nice. Some of the staff that kind of put away the books are always so polite and helpful. And they always seem interested to talk to you about whatever it is that you are looking for and want to talk about. So you kind of make your way around and put out a little bit of the word that you're looking for books on a specific thing. And you find a couple, and a few other people happen to find a couple, and bring them back to the table that you're at. After a few hours of rummaging through the book, you come across 3 pieces of what you feel like might be useful information. The first is that foxes are a common creature that many druids use for certain levels of reconnaissance. They may go between foxes or cats or like small birds because they tend to move quickly, tend to move relatively silently, and tend to have good access to a lot of areas. Foxes can get up into trees or bushes and kind of hide there very well. Cats can move kind of relatively unnoticed in a city. They tend to be just like most other animals that wander around it. And birds, of course, can fly from place to place. Each has some advantages versus disadvantages. Foxes are a little more acutely capable of smelling things. Their hearing is not quite what a cat is, but still very good. Cats tend to be more used for hearing, but foxes tend to be like diligent. They tend to do what you ask them to do and give you back the information, albeit sometimes a little mixed up. A cat will give you the information kind of straight, but only the information they cared about. And a bird, they don't have so much memory. So things kind of leak out of the bird's brain pretty quickly. That's one reason you might see fox-related stuff and maybe human-related stuff in the area. The next reason you might find it is there could be a shape-changing druid that could be in the area. Could account for claws, could account for fox fur, could account for a number of things, or a shifter of some sort. Could even be some sort of shape-shifting fae. It's not terribly uncommon, and there are new notes listed about some of the various types of fae that exist. And the last potential option that you will run into as you're reading it is a very, very small footnote in a section about these creatures that were believed to have been seen early in the development of the world. Creatures that had these sort of unstable tendencies to become partially like other creatures. They would have like the head of an animal, but still like a more humanoid body. But the notes talk largely about them being more wolf-like than fox-like. But it does state that there were instances of them being other varieties on rare circumstances. One of them even like fox or cat, etc. is kind of the wording. As far as Eli and Al, let me double check Al's character sheet here. Okay. So, the two of you find very little about guardianship. Can I get a diplomacy check from the two of you? Or bluff. Oh, actually, Eli rolled really well, so don't worry about the bluff. You're good. There, and how about you, Al? Okay. So the two of you resort to asking for help. And one person will bring you a document, a bit of a legal document. It's a very hard read to go through. There are a few things that will come up of interest based on what you can see here. The first is that guardianship is usually some replacement for the loss of parents or the inability to have a person's natural parents be available. The second is that usually guardianship involves some method of compensation to the people that are caring for the child, either by the state or by money that is made available by, say, a trust or some other endowment that might be available to the child. But traditionally it ends at a point at which the adolescent is considered an adult. It's not typical that an adult would remain under guardianship.
So the age that Ashworth is that still considered typical? Because I know he's sort of in that, like, I thought he'd been considered an adult for a couple of years.
He has been considered an adult for a few years now. So it is a little unusual that he is still under guardianship.
Does it give any details about circumstances why that might happen?
This is where it gets into like a lot of legalese. You guys have already kind of like stretched your brain trying to determine some of what is inferred by the words that are on the page. As you get more into it, it becomes very gritty and starts using terms in a language that you're not familiar with.
Can I ask the librarian for help?
The librarian is unfortunately unable to give you any assistance. She will explain, though, at the very least, that legal terms are a little harder to keep track of. I've never really studied into law in any deep manner. I do know, though, that these are in an old script that many of them like to reference. It is still a form of what we would call the common tongue, but it dates back long before most of us.
Do you know anybody that might be able to help me understand this?
If you were aware of an attorney, I'm sure they could give you some more details. But they might charge you, of course, for that information. Are you looking?
Conley, no, out of character. Is Conley an attorney?
He is a lawyer, yes.
Okay, so we could ask him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The four of you can kind of meet back up with each other.
Perhaps we should look into whether or not there's any Druid populations we're aware of in the area.
Did you learn something about Druids from your research?
Yes, we learned something promising. I guess perhaps we should go back to our secure area and talk more about that.
Well, if you want to research something else, we should just do it here, and then you can tell us about it when we get back.
Oh, very true. All right, then, I guess, Frey, do you want to come with me to see if we can find out more about Druids in our area?
Of course.
All right.
Would there be any way to try and figure out, using the library, what language they might have been speaking?
You could try. I would need a knowledge history or a linguistics check.
I have neither of either of those.
Okay. With the knowledge history, you can spend some time trying to recall some words, and rummage around through a couple of different translation books and page to certain things, and you will discover that they were speaking Gnomish.
Did I remember what any of the words were and then could look up to translate them?
The word that you will find in Gnomish is the word for silence.
Ooh.
Um,
Tell them that when we get back.
Can I get another diplomacy check or another knowledge nature check from Nerissa and Frey? Or wait, no, I'm sorry. Not nature. You're looking for druidic stuff, so druids around the area. So give me a geography or a history check. Nice, very good combination. Together you guys really get into pulling down a lot of books about a lot of various groups. And what you will find is that, let's go to the world map for a moment. So to the west of Silverhope, there are the Druids of the Plains. These Druids are very, basically they're kind of, you'll get the impression these are part of the same group that Al comes from. There's word of a Sphinx that lived in that area, that sort of became almost a deity to them, or at the very least a very great benefactor to those Druids. There are the Druids of the River. They are largely very silent. They keep mostly to themselves. They basically just take care of a lot of the various parts of the river, keeping it clean. They're actually employed to do this. They receive some ability to trade within the city in exchange for making sure that the river coming up into the city becomes much cleaner as you enter it, and is free of most common creature issues that might try to move in from the river. And to the east, there are a couple of larger druidic circles. They are said to keep largely to themselves. They do not have a name, as one might call it. They instead work on kind of an abstract idea. So there are a set of druids that call themselves the Order of the Wind's Truth, the Circle of the Wind's Truth. And there are the druids of the Inevitable. The druids of the Inevitable believe that nature should be allowed to sort of run its course. Nature knows what's right for the world, and they will be the inevitable deciders of what society should ultimately be. They have a strong belief that with the way that the world has become so magical, and that magic has started sort of aiding in the natural processes of plant life, that it is the desired end for the world that the plants become the dominant species, and the animals of the world become the dominant species. The circle of the wind's truth is what I had said, right? Just make sure.
I thought that was the Druids of the Inevitable.
No, there's, but I'm the other one is now what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah. The other one is Circle of Wind's Truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Circle of the Wind's Truth is more about, like, they have this divine prophecy that they believe. This idea that the wind speaks to them some kind of foretelling of what is to come, and they make their day-to-day decisions based on the whims of the wind, as some have referred to it. Of all four of these groups, one common thread you'll notice is that none of them seem terribly interested in subterfuge.
All right. Well, that's some useful information. I guess we should meet back and just kind of discuss what we've found and see where we go from there.
Okay.
Do it.
You all can get back. It is getting rather late, as you have spent many hours in the library doing quite a bit of research. Yeah, you can discuss your findings and where you want to proceed from here.
So,
What'd you learn?
well, Frey's been very instrumental in finding a lot of information here. So what we came up with foxes is we've just basically learned that it could be druids doing this, like either shapeshifted druids, or perhaps they were using like a summon animal type thing for reconnaissance. Foxes are used for that. That was why we wanted to learn more about the druids in the area. I'll kind of like look over at Al when I say that. But most of the druids we've learned don't seem to be interested in subterfuge. The other possibility could be that there used to be creatures that were seen early in the development of the world. They were more wolf-like than fox-like. They would have like the head of an animal and the torso of a humanoid.
Yes, they're still furry, is what it would imply, though. Like, it's still like fur-covered body, but it is much more human than it is animal.
Okay. So I would relay that to them. And I don't know much more about that, but it could be one of those types of creatures.
Can I go next?
Yeah.
They said silence. That's what they said. One of the words that they said between the Guardians and Ashworth.
You understood what they were saying?
Not enough, but I remembered a few words, and I was able to figure out that they were speaking Gnomish. One of the words they said was silence. Isn't that creepy? What does that mean? That seems creepy.
It could be like saying, be quiet or don't speak of this. It could be...
Right.
Yeah.
I'm so creeped out right now.
Do you remember who said that?
Do I remember who said that?
Give me a gauge check. You are pretty sure, based on the tone, that came from Phineas.
Oh, from Ashworth.
Yes.
So...
I think it came from Ashworth.
I see. Well, I wonder if there's a way that we could... I don't know. That is interesting.
We also learned some about guardianship, and it sounds like it's pretty unusual that he's still under the status, even though he's been an adult for a few years.
I see. So what do you
there
think?
Was some legal stuff I didn't understand, but we could ask Conley about.
That actually might be a good idea to go see Mr. Conley tomorrow. We could tell him what.
We can visit him tonight.
It's getting kind of late.
He speaks Gnomish.
Well, I was hoping for that as well. I was hoping that he might be able to. When you said that they were speaking Gnomish, I was hoping he might have a resource for us to perhaps, translate what we found securely. But
did you just buy gnomes with candy?
That's incredibly hurtful.
Not that.
Not all gnomes, dude. No.
Can you translate for this? We have some, we have some candy.
Would you just go around town in a wagon and have free candy on the side of it to try and learn gnomes?
That sounds creepy.
Sounds very creepy.
Yes, I would go around if I wanted to give candy to free gnomish children for free. Yes, I mean,
please never do that.
Why would you assume because I want to give children candy that I have some ulterior motive?
I think we're getting a little off topic.
True.
But I also was thinking we could look up. Joke here. Cardinalship. Do we have those in this domain?
Cardinalship?
Cardinals?
What do you mean, cardinals?
Cardinals are like the chaotic good spirits?
You would not know of them. There's no reason that you would know of them. Unless you have ranks and knowledge of the planes.
What's that? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why my brain went that way. Well, it's late, right? Do we have time to ask questions?
I've got energy.
You do know that usually a lot of people who run a business would not be available at their office, especially nearing Third Son's set.
Do we want to contact a rapscallion to do the translation for us? A less than savory type, or?
I don't know that we want to have this information shared with anyone that we don't know and trust.
I think the best course of action would be to meet with the lawyer again, find out more about this information that Eli was talking about that's legal information, as well as share our experience yesterday and see if he knows of any way of, if maybe he speaks Gnomish and, we can recall the conversation for him and he could tell us what they were saying. I think that our best bet would be to go back to the lawyer. We have to be careful and not let too many people that shouldn't know about this in on this.
Seems like a good idea.
Careful.
Are common and gnomish dictionaries a thing lying around?
You can find them, but you'd have to try to remember the entire conversation.
Well, between us, we might remember more than, or across us, more than just I remember.
So here's the thing, though. When you hear two people speaking in a foreign language, it's a lot harder for your brain to recall the words that were said because the mind associates things that we know of to other memories. And if you have something you interact with that you don't know, and it comes out in a very large capacity, your brain doesn't designate a lot of storage to that. So something impactful, like somebody shouting a word very loud and very sternly, you might remember that word, right? If somebody shouts like silencio, you'll remember them shouting silencio. But if they if you watch an episode of a Spanish soap opera, you're not going to remember like 99.99% of the words that have been spewed out there, except maybe words like T-Mobile or like Chips Ahoy. The rest of it, you're not going to remember.
I never forget Chips Ahoy.
The one that really sticks out for me is goal, and that's in soccer matches.
I think the other thing is your brain is then going to tend to put that language in a framework you can understand. So there's a good chance that if you're not familiar with the language, you're going to mispronounce and misconstrue a great deal of the words there.
Yep.
So we do have silence, and that's a place to start. But I think we'll need to talk to the lawyer because we can see he's in an unusual circumstance. There's a lot going on with this fellow. He has jobs that are not public record. Not like jobs are something that's public record, but you know what I mean. And he's got an unusual guardianship. And
well, it's weird that somebody's resume features missing information deliberately, and that doesn't stop him from finding new employment regularly.
I picture his resume with a lot of those black boxes on it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I wish one of us had a way of understanding languages that we didn't fluently speak, but I don't think any of us have that ability.
Well, unfortunately, that pull and string will get you nowhere, and I think the party can make their way to rest for the evening with no further lines of where to go.
Well, that was a short session. Good night, everybody.
This night will be a largely uneventful night for all of you. Quiet for Frey, the usual pressure from Nerissa's family, roommates that are just willing to pass without... Excuse me. And Eli spends a little bit of time with their friend. The next morning will come, and the four of you can once again meet up with each other and make your way to, I believe, see Mr. Conley. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, it's interesting to see you back. I've hope you've got useful news.
And sadly, things did not go as well as we would have hoped yesterday. We met with his guardians, and they had no idea that he wasn't working with you anymore, talking to you anymore. They tried to get him to talk to us, and they started arguing in Gnomish.
Are you sure? I've had correspondences back and forth with them.
This is what they said to us. They told us they had no idea he wasn't talking to you anymore.
He'll open up a drawer, flip, or get up, walk over to a spot, pull some stuff off the shelf, flip through it for a moment, bring it over, and set it down on the table in front of you. And he'll show you a series of letters that have been sent back. I have been able to I've been unable to reach them in person, but we've had a few letters back and forth. It's been a little while, obviously, since their last one, but up until then, they seem to be communicating that everything was all right, even though I hadn't heard from him.
Are you sure the letters were for them? What if it was from him faking and pretending to be them?
He'll flip back a couple of pages and show you. The handwriting is very similar. I have a person who is quite an expert in these kinds of things, and as you'll see, Mr. Brearley has the same writing on each of them. Very clear.
But how do you mean just on the letters, or do you have other documents where you knew it was him?
Oh, well, when he'll flip to the beginning of the book. He was obligated to fill in the form when he took over contractual guardianship. And as you can see here, here's his original documentation. Here is some of the text confirming details of his background and other pieces of information, as well as his signature, and it matches up one for one.
Okay, just curious.
Yes, very good question. Very astute.
The only thing we can really remember offhand, as far as the conversation, none of us speak Gnomish. Was apparently Phineas told them silence. So it was a really bad argument. The female gnome was crying at the end of it.
I wonder if perhaps his treatments aren't going so well.
His treatments?
Yes, I cannot give you details into what the treatments are, but I can... Here. He'll take out another slip of paper, proceed to write some information down, fold it up, and then slide it over to one of you.
I'll take it.
This is the location of the center where he is having his treatments performed. Perhaps they can give you a little more insight.
What should we tell? How will they know that they can speak with us freely?
I would assume you could just show them your badges. They will not be able to disclose any of his treatment details, but they will be able to tell you about interactions they've had with him, and if they've noticed anything suspicious. Perhaps they might be able to give you the insight you're looking for.
Wait, were the letters, which guardian were they from, or both? Was it just the male guardian?
The letters always come from Mr. Brearley. From what I'm aware of, Cecilia does not know how to write. If you look here, he'll show you the documentation from Cecilia, and you can see like what is written on there is someone else is clearly Mr. Brearley's handwriting, and then Cecilia like signs something at the bottom, but it doesn't look anything like her name.
Huh. Intriguing.
Was it just Cecilia that had told us that she didn't know what was happening?
I think because we didn't talk to the male guardian until the very end.
So
We had very little
doesn't know.
interaction.
So it's possible that Cecilia didn't know, but
Huh.
Well, then perhaps follow up with him also. But I would say the treatment center might be able to give you a little bit of insight as to some of what might be going on with him.
Okay.
and it's Phineas that's undergoing this treatment?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
But it's not the treatment or the condition that is causing him to not be in touch with you, right?
Should not be. No, there's nothing about his treatment or his condition that should be inhibiting his desire to return and communicate with me. Unless something were going horribly wrong, and at which point we'd have to work on reassigning the trust that is assigned to him.
It's always good to investigate our leads, right? So we might as well follow up with it and see what develops, and if it's, germane to what we're doing, then it'll be good. If not, we just eliminated yet another thing.
Of course.
I'm gonna whisper to Frey. Can we ask him
I don't see why not. Do you happen to know anything about fox people?
He looks at you rather strangely, very confused. No, I've seen a great deal of many types of people, but never a fox person. Do you mean like somebody who likes foxes a lot and carries them around? Like, I've seen cat people. They'll come in like with a couple of cats, maybe a couple in each arm, or dog people. They'll have them on their little leashes, or they might be carrying one of their small little dogs, but never a fox person. I think I've seen maybe a few druids have come in, but don't remember them with foxes ever.
Is there any reason that a druid would want to keep reconnaissance on the family?
Really something druids do?
Not typically. However, we found evidence of there's some kind of fox creature that was in the tree near their house, as well as tracks leading away.
I wonder if perhaps he could be trying to keep a pet.
Well, we know that this fox has also been seen on 2 legs. Like, person-sized.
That's preposterous. Foxes cannot walk around on 2 legs.
That's why the fox pressed the question.
You sure you're not getting these from the ramblings of a drunken man on the streets? You know there are many of them, and you have to be careful.
Well, we're just following up on any kind of clue, regardless of how improbable it is, and then if we winnow away everything that is there. My thought is perhaps it is a pet and somebody mistook it.
Yes, perhaps maybe someone was carrying it, looked at it from the wrong direction, and thought that somebody was walking away looking like part of a fox, but... Well... I've dealt with a lot of cases, so I suppose a fox, or whatever you think it might be, isn't out of the question, but... Nevertheless...
Well, we got a couple of leads to follow up. Thank you very much for your help.
You're welcome. Thank you for doing this work.
Eli, did you have something else that you wanted to...
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, Eli.
Yeah, we're trying to learn some about guardianship at the library, and there was some information that it just got pretty legal, and I didn't really understand it, and the librarian couldn't really help either, and I was wondering if you could help.
Yes, things get very tricky when you start getting into the deeper rungs of it. What were you curious about?
So they said it was pretty uncommon for somebody to still be under a guardian status. It usually ends right when they become an adult.
You're a good investigator. You're putting the pieces together quite well. The treatment that Mr. Ashworth is going through does have something to do with a bit of his unusual behavior. His behavior is rather unfitting an adult, and as part of the estate plan, he is to remain under guardianship until he is able to pass a test that is linked to the estate.
What is the treatment? What is the test?
I cannot disclose either the test or the treatment.
But the treatment is supposed to help him prepare for the test?
The treatment is supposed to make it so he will pass the test.
Is it like psychological behavior or like physical
Again,
behavior?
there are laws which keep me from being allowed to discuss the nature of the situation that Mr. Ashworth is going through.
But the estate basically said that he would stay under guardianship until he could pass this test. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Is
There
that
is a
unusual?
stipulation on the estate, however, that he has a certain amount of time to pass the test, and if he does not, the estate will default to the guardians.
Oh, he wouldn't get any of it.
No, not unless his guardians were to pass on, and they could then bequeath the estate to him.
What is the time period? When does it end?
It is set to end in roughly 2 more years.
And what prevents the guardians from trying to take advantage of this?
There are restrictions within the agreement that prohibit them from taking what we would call disruptive action against the implied the expectation of their guardianship. It is not uncommon for guardians to overlook those kinds of things, but it would not be in their best interest over the long term.
Is this a common thing in estates to have this kind of requirement?
It is not a very uncommon thing. Some estates will have stipulations in place, requirements like holding down a job, perhaps having some sort of relationship, being involved in some sort of specific behavior or community activity. But this is a rather unique arrangement for this estate.
Did you say that you couldn't tell us what the test is like?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know why the Guardians put this requirement in place?
Yes, it has to do with what they knew about Mr. Ashworth before his passing.
How old was he
before
when
their
his
passing.
parents, when his parents died?
Unfortunately, they were rather young for their kind. They died merely around the age of about 250.
How old was he when they
Oh,
died?
my apologies. He was in his late 80s when they had passed. So they have had him for, I'm sorry, not late 80s, late 90s before they had passed. I think I got
Is
that
that
right.
still
Hold on,
considered-
let me double check. I don't want to be getting my numbering off. Yeah, late 90s is what they would agree.
So is 90s kind of considered adolescent age still?
90s is like late teens for an elf.
Okay.
So they're like right on the cusp of adulthood. He would have spent maybe another decade-ish with them.
Huh.
Does anyone have any other questions?
No,
Yeah.
the only other thing that might be helpful is if we knew what they were saying in Gnomish, but none of us speak it, so.
Well, if you don't have the ability to speak it, then it wouldn't be much use for us to undertake anything. You could, of course, try to buy scrolls to help you with that kind of thing, but that would be situational, and you have to know that you need them in advance. If you start casting a spell in someone's house, you are subject to your own laws, so...
Yes, I'm well aware.
I was thinking about buying a scroll of Speak with Gnome.
Did you even use that?
No.
Are you implying that a gnome is some sort of animal? That's not very nice.
I think I was replying that it would be ridiculous to have a scroll that only does one language.
Oh.
Yeah. But I feel like you could do that.
People can do whatever they wish with magic, from what I know of.
Well, we've taken up enough of your time. We appreciate you meeting with us, Mr. Conley.
Indeed, thank you so much.
Is there anything else you think we should do before we go? Do you think we're on the right track?
Seems like it to me. Not much of an investigator, though. My place is making sure that things get done the way they need to on my end.
Fair enough.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Where to next
we
for
got
the
a
four
clip.
of you?
What's that?
Maybe I want to be an investigator. This is kind of fun.
Where to next for the four of you?
Well, we got the clinic, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we should follow up with the treatment center. Obviously, we will have to wait a little while before we can go back by the house.
Okay. You can head to the treatment center. The treatment center
Wait.
is... Go ahead.
Can we look up the treatment center at the library first to see if there's anything like...
Yes, there are no details about the treatment center at the library.
Okay.
There are details about other places in the same area around there, but there are no details about the address that you have for the treatment center.
No Yelp reviews?
No Yelp reviews.
0 stars.
0 stars. Would not get treatment there again. went there for a good set of curtains and a ruffle. Wrong kind of treatment.
As the four of you then head to the building listed on the address, you notice that you're kind of walking through an area, and this is not the friendlier part of town, to put it in a nice way. Around these parts, the buildings are not well cared for. People seem to kind of walk around with a bit of a little more of a tough exterior than you might expect. And nobody's willing to kind of look at you, and many people kind of keep their eyes on weapons that you might have, or especially on Debobe, as they pass by.
What? Debobe is fine.
But you can inevitably make your way up to the sort of small, deep green colored building with no signage on the outside. And it probably is the nicest looking building in the area. None of the windows are cracked or shattered. The door is properly on its hinges and well secured. And you can see there are a couple of crystal devices in the corners of the building. You would know these to be the equivalent of modern day security cameras. They essentially are allowed to keep an eye on a very specific area. But it's a very limited view. You know that scrying in this country is illegal. These devices can look for key details, but can't get anything beyond surface level information about objects in the area. So they would know that right now, as the four of you walk up, that there is some number of bodies or some number of somethings in a cluster in the area that have some amount of magical stuff on them within. But it looks kind of like a cloud kind of walked up to things if you were to look at what the recording shows. But the four of you can enter in. At first, when you check the door, it is locked, and then you hear a doo-doo-doo-doo sound, and you know that is them allowing you access into the building.
Excellent.
When you step in, you're in a kind of moderately sized waiting room. There is a wall and one of those desks behind glass that you can walk up to, and chairs kind of surround the room on all other sides.
Are there any kind of pamphlets, flyers, or information on the wall explaining the purpose of this facility?
There are pamphlets on the wall, little slips of paper that you can walk over and pick up and take a look at. Give me a linguistics check.
Shit. Really? You're gonna turn up right now? Yeah, I don't have linguistics either.
You can make a roll. All right. And whenever you're ready there, Al, I know you're trying to get it to reload.
Yeah. Okay. Did it go
okay.
through?
Yeah. Eli, this looks largely like gibberish. Words are stacked on top of each other. There's a lot of, making your life better, the intelligent and simple way will relieve a lot of your problems. It has a lot of that, the self-help wording attached to it, and talks a lot about the life you'll experience after the treatments and all these other things. Al, you're reading this, and I'm going to need a will save with you to follow along with this really low linguistics check.
I don't understand what this is. I don't know what language it is.
Ooh, very good. You are reading through this, and for a moment, you start feeling like it really connects with you on some kind of level. You're like, yeah, the road to wellness does start with me. And I have to focus on my inner self in order to achieve the desired outcomes I need to have the outcome of desires that I want. And immediately something about that kind of sends a chill down your spine. Like, oh, this is not, it's suddenly no longer comfortable and more so like feels a little like you're being sold something that you don't want to buy. You're not sure what, but some kind of treatment.
How will I visualize my best life?
Apparently not via this treatment.
Yeah.
I will approach the window area, and I will say, yes, we need to speak to someone about one of your patients, and I'll show my badge.
You got a warrant?
No.
We don't talk about our patients without a warrant.
The lawyer involved in his case seemed to think that you would be able to speak with us about this.
You got a warrant?
I'll just shake my head and walk away.
So I'm going to bring the pamphlet up here. Pardon me, what kind of, I don't quite understand this pamphlet. What is, why am I synergizing my best tomorrow?
Well, you see, it's very important that you understand that you cannot live today if you do not know how to live tomorrow, and you don't know how you lived yesterday. Through proper completion of a proper regime, reorientating your life to tomorrow, you will not be able to achieve the today you wished for yesterday.
That hurt my head a little bit. What kind of treatment do you offer here?
We specialize in making sure that your future is the future that you wanted in your past.
How?
Our methods are very unique and patented.
Oh, does that mean you won't tell me what they are?
Of course, we are not allowed to disclose them unless you begin participation, at which point you will need to sign part of our non-disclosure agreement.
How would I know if I want to get treatment if I don't have a sense of what I'd be doing?
Many people know when they need to achieve the future that they once felt was theirs long ago.
Is there like a starter course we could take for like a gold?
No. You're going to need to have the right frame of mind when entering this treatment. And it seems like since you are limited in your ability to have faith, it might be a little difficult for you to embrace this treatment.
Well, can you hook me up to an E-Wave reader and see if I have enough Thetans to take this?
What is an E-Wave reader and what are Thetans?
I'll speak up and say, it's okay. Obviously, their treatment doesn't work since the person we want to speak about is getting worse.
No one who has undergone our treatment has experienced any problems. We have a 100% satisfaction rating with all of our clients.
Ooh, does that mean you kill them if they're not satisfied?
Of course not. That would be against the law. We are in accordance with all guidelines presented by the council.
What is the name of your...
What?
Are some people required to come here for treatment, like from a court or anything? Or
there may be people who are obligated to be here as part of some sort of external requirement. Yes.
It'll suck for that 100% rating when it's determined that you wouldn't talk with us and you're just letting one of your patients fall through the cracks.
You're not a satisfied customer. If you don't have a warrant, then unfortunately we will not be servicing you with any information pertaining to anyone who may or may not be our client.
They do have pamphlets on the wall, though, right, Steve?
They do.
Yeah, let's take some of those. And this guy's hackles are already up.
Is the piece of paper that he gave us just like the location, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
How long does treatment usually last?
It varies from individual to individual. Some people can find that they embrace the treatment wholeheartedly, and the treatment can be a near overnight success. For others, it may take years. Sometimes even as long as a decade or so. But everyone comes out a satisfied customer.
How expensive is it?
We scale our fee according to the needs of the customer.
Like, what's the range?
Setting a range for this kind of treatment is a difficult thing to do. We understand the needs of each individual, and we work carefully to make sure we are not overstepping the needs of each individual.
In other words, out of character, they'll take what you got. You know what I mean? And they'll take it all. I mean, they'll take as much of it as they got. Okay. We should probably talk to a satisfied customer.
I was thinking we should go back and speak with the lawyer and find out how culpable they are if they refuse to speak with us.
We have no culpability for not speaking to you if you do not come here with a warrant allowing you access to the records of any of our patients.
Yeah, I really feel like he's just going to keep deferring to a warrant, guys.
Listen, I am very used to this. There are quite a number of your types that come in here wanting to be the big shot knights that you believe yourselves to be and don't understand how the legal process works. I don't know why they decide that it's not imperative to make sure that each of you are educated in the laws you are required to enforce, but in many cases it does get in the way of proper treatment for many of our patients.
Wow, you've made a lot of assumptions. We're actually trying to help someone here.
Then you would be acquiring you would be going down the right path in order to do so. You would be happy to comply with my request for a warrant and understand that the information that we have on our patient, if we have said patient, is quite important to be kept private.
And what was your name? I need to know it for my report.
Oh, certainly. Actually, let me do you one better. They will reach down and they will pick up a strip of cardboard and hand it to you.
I will take it. What does it say?
Their name is... Give me a second here.
I have another question when you're ready.
Their name is Lucas Irwin. But it's Lucas, L-U-K-A-Z.
Interesting.
What kind of, professionals work here? Like, what kind of license or degrees do they have to have?
We are all required to have the certifications necessary to perform the treatment that we provide here.
Oh, okay, so you won't tell me.
If we were to tell you the certifications that we have, it would give some understanding to what we provide to our clients, and it would allow you some insight into the treatments that they are participating in. It would give you essentially information as to what they are undergoing.
Are you hiring employees at this time?
Staff must be extensively vetted in order to be brought in. And at this time, we are not looking for any new staff.
Do you have like a quiz I could take to see if I would benefit from the services?
We could give you our introductory survey, but unfortunately, based on your present attitude, I don't think you're quite ready for treatment.
Oh, that was mostly my friend here. I've been quite pleasant.
Well, the company we keep is often indicative of who we are ourselves.
So I can't take the survey is what you're saying?
No, unfortunately, we don't think you are in need of our treatment.
What about Frey? Can they take the survey?
I don't think that any of you are in need of our treatment.
Oh.
I think we're gonna outwit this guy if we keep asking these questions.
You
How
don't
long
want
have
the
you worked
treatment
here?
anyway.
How
Well,
long have you
I
worked
mean,
here?
we are out of character. We are experienced cops, and if once somebody starts lawyering up, they're not going to cooperate.
I've worked here for as long as I've worked here.
No, I mean I'm talking to them not in character. I think this guy is hostile, and we're kind of wasting our time, guys.
Let's just go get a warrant.
Yeah, I think that's the only way to deal with this guy. This guy's not going to cooperate with us, and we're not going to.
Let's go talk elsewhere.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. The four of you can head outside. And what is your plan from here?
We probably need to go back to the room to talk.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I would say that would be the best.
Yeah, you guys can get back there and resume your discussion.
I mean, they have the crystal things.
I didn't think we would be able to get a warrant because that would give away too much information about what we're doing.
I don't think we would be able to get a warrant anyway, based on what?
Well, that's the point, is we can't get a warrant because we don't want to bring attention to the fact that Phineas has done anything wrong yet.
Well, we don't have probable cause, so it's immaterial. We don't have a reason to suspect this place. This place is a legitimate business. So what would be our reason even for getting a warrant?
To find out, well, I mean, the reason we were wanting to talk to them was to find out, you know, if the treatments were going poorly, you know, if they were, to see if there was something more going on with Phineas. That was the whole point of talking to them.
No, I understand that, but that doesn't get us a warrant.
Right. We can't get a warrant, again, because we're trying to do this off the books.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is the warrant, the moment he says warrant, we had no ground to stand on.
Can I get all of you to give me either an intel or wisdom check? Because I don't think any of you have any ranks in knowledge law, correct?
No.
That's correct.
Okay. It occurs to Frey especially, but also to Al in part of your going back and forth. The process by which you get a warrant is to basically have a Justicar or Grand Justicar sign one. You have access to a Grand Justicar.
Ah, wow. There we go.
But would this put this in the system, like raise a flag that we're looking into this?
If the document were submitted into the system, if the warrant were just filed and signed, or just filled out and signed, and then you brought it there, and no one entered it into the system, or no one entered it into the system until later on, no one would have to know.
Sneaky.
If you are willing to go down that route, that is something that does come to mind.
The other thing is I was thinking about while we were dealing with Captain Hostile is nobody has 100% satisfaction. And the
Try and
people
find
that
some
are
bad
satisfied are not going to give us correct information. Now, we're probably going to get more out of dissatisfied people by investigating it and they'll be able to tell us there, right? Because you can't. I mean, we've all seen, I assume at this point, many Scientology documentaries out there, right?
It has a 100% satisfaction rating.
Yes,
among
exactly.
all the people who participate.
Moment Scientology thinks you're there to investigate them, it's lawyer, lawyer, lawyer. So the only way you can get anything out of anybody is to find the people that were not happy with their theta waves. So that might be something like find somebody. We could talk to somebody that's very satisfied. That might be fun, right? Kind of get into the mindset of a person that undergoes this kind of treatment.
But where would we even learn? Where would we even know to look for, people that have gone through the treatment, either satisfied or, otherwise? We don't have a list of clients, except we know that Phineas goes there.
Yeah, but they're probably going to have clients coming in and out.
So, just stake them out and be like, hey, do you want to take a survey after they come out?
Yeah, pretend we're with a Better Business Bureau. I mean, if we're going to do fraud and deception. Or we can just pull our bag and say, hey, we noticed, you're coming out of there. We're not going to ask you about your treatment. How's your satisfaction? What do you find that so whatever? If people are brainwashed cultists, they'll gladly tell you what their cult is about to a certain level.
I don't know if this is a cult per se yet. They talked about faith, but they didn't really, they weren't proselytizing at us or anything.
Well, they could be 100% legit, actually, and we still don't have a leg to stand on.
Well, I guess it's up to you guys. Do you want to see if we can get a warrant?
What do you think, Frey?
I think we should hire somebody to pose as a wayward person and send them through the treatment. Take the long time.
You're not Frey.
How much time do we have before we should theoretically meet with the Guardians again?
I don't think
Up to you guys.
Them a time. We have had a total of what was it, 4 days?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're now on day 2.
I feel personally like that we could obtain a warrant, or at least put in for one. I don't have a whole lot of faith that, we're going to solve anything by meeting with the Guardians, but if we happen to, we can always just cancel it and not follow up on the other.
Well, I think we don't have a lot of time, so I think the warrant is going to be like a hammer that's going to, so to do a real investigation, to run a thorough background check on this organization would take days, and we don't have that. So, the warrant may be the most expedient way to get in there.
Exactly.
Should we ask Conley's advice before we request the warrant from Ryan?
I don't think we necessarily need to ask Conley's advice. He basically told us that we should talk to them. So I'm thinking
told us that they wouldn't tell us much.
I'm just saying, I think that if we went back to Conley, he would just tell us, we should do whatever we think is right. We're the investigators. He didn't seem to want to offer us direction on what way to take our investigation.
I say we just stop the quarry and confront him like in the middle of town.
That would be the most conspicuous way to do this, I guess.
Bring things to a head fast.
Up to you guys. I'll go along for whatever. I mean, not whatever, but like.
I don't know how long it'll take to issue the warrant if Rhyme can do this on the spot.
Rhyme would just sign a document and hand it to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, it hurts nothing for us to have the warrant. If it turns out we don't need to follow up with them, great, we'll just shred it or whatever. But I think it would be a good idea to have the warrant so that we have the option then to go back and speak with the treatment center.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. So you can go to procure the warrant from Rhyme. Without question, without any deep interrogation, she will issue you the warrant. She will sign it, and she will let you know that she's not under any obligation to file this until the end of the investigation. And at the end of the investigation, any details about this will be redacted, as this is to be a private case.
Wow.
I will thank her for her help.
One added thing that she will offer to all of you. Things around here operate in a very, very complex and convoluted way. There are many laws and regulations that attempt to step regularly on our throats. It is important that we get the job done, whether the law likes it or not. We are trying to help achieve better lives for everyone. Sometimes the law does get in the way. I am willing to work with you in whatever ways I can to shortcut whatever you need shortcutted, so long as it will not put us at greater risk. Do not fear using me as a resource when you need.
Okay.
We will keep that in mind.
Let's go back to that clinic and give that guy a hard fucking time.
Eli, did you say something?
You're muted, I think.
Yeah, I
No,
can't
I'm just
hear.
whispering.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll ask it outside.
Okay. Yeah, I will thank Rhyme and.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Grand Justicar.
Yes.
What's going on?
You can all head out.
Oh, okay.
What did it mean when she said we can use her as a resource? When would we come to her? When would we not come to her?
Like, as far as, if we need to expedite certain matters, then if she can assist us in a circumspect way, then she will.
What are certain matters? Like, what does it mean?
Well, like with this warrant, she was able to get us a warrant, and...
Well, yeah, that I already know as an example. Like, what would be another thing?
Well, if we may need to talk to other departments in there, we could say we're on mission for the Grand Justicar and just leave it at that.
Oh, I don't think she would want us putting her name out.
No, we definitely don't need to put her name out there.
I didn't say her name. I just said, we're working for so-and-so. You don't have to say somebody's name to bluff them.
Are there multiple Grand Justicars?
There are multiple Grand Justicars, yes.
That are female?
There's one other Grand Justicar that is female.
We can just say we're on a case with a Grand Justicar. We don't even need to say.
It's still a limited group of people.
Yeah, but bluffing is not about. It's not about being specific.
How good your bluff skills, huh, Al?
Well, mine are not great, but we're kind of, we're already resorting to warrants. So.
Well, I'm sure that if the time comes that we need something further, that will be in the back of our minds, that perhaps it's something Rhyme can help us with.
So what's our next step?
How early in the day is it?
At this point, it's probably nearing midday.
Okay. I would say back to the treatment center.
Okay. Well, let us resolve your return to the treatment center after a short break. Be back. To confront Mr. I'm not sharing anything with a warrant. You get back
it's
to the
literally
building.
me if confronted by the police, because that's literally what I would do. You got a warrant, didn't you?
You get back to the building. Ah, here we go again. You can hear him mutter in the distance.
I'll walk up and slap the warrant to the window.
He'll shake his head, and you'll hear that same doo-doo-doo-doo tone on the door to the left of the desk. And you can pass on through. And he'll step around and guide you back to a like private room. All right, well, what do you want? Hold on. He takes the document first. Let's verify.
I will hand him the document.
He'll read over it and then slam it down on the table. All right, who's it about? What do we got this time?
We're actually wondering about Phineas Ashworth.
Why do you care about that one?
Well, he has been acting out of character recently. He has stopped communicating with the people he needs to be communicating with. And so we're just wondering, has there been a change with him, with his treatment? Is he seeming to get worse, better?
He was one of the best people we've had in treatment for a while. Like, right on board with it, went along with the program as supposed to. And the last couple of weeks, he's just different. Emboldened, you might say. Asks a lot of questions. Doesn't just do what he needs to do as part of the treatment. Wants to know every step of why we're having him do it. Come on, a real pain in the ass, to be honest with you. Thinking about dropping him.
Does it seem like he's any more ready for the test?
What test?
Oh.
One of his goals was to pass a certain test, and I suppose that wasn't relevant to his treatment if you don't know about it.
No, it had never come up. We know that he was ordered to be participating in the treatment, but we didn't have the details of why.
I see. Have you noticed him, or do you know of any, has anybody been, talking to him, someone new in his life, any kind of reason
He doesn't tell us anything about what's going on in his life. He's, again, very secretive, and from the very little I've garnered about his job, there's a reason that he's so secretive. I don't know exactly what he does, but I know if more people knew relatively what he does, it would probably create more problems for him.
I see. So basically then, last couple of weeks, he's been changing here too. He's been asking more questions, talking back, not seemingly accepting the treatment, is what you're saying.
Yes. Downright rude, to be honest.
I hate rude people, don't you?
Huh. Some people have to have a certain attitude in order to make sure that certain other types of people don't just stomp all over the business that they built for the community to make sure that everybody has a better life. Some people are working towards the betterment of individuals, and other people are just looking to put people in the dungeons to make sure that life continues the way they want it to be.
Now, how long has he been coming here?
He's been coming in here for around the last 2 or 3 years.
And has he made progress?
Oh yes, we've seen fine progress towards the treatment. We were expecting him to be ready for things be ready to complete treatment within the next few days.
How would you know if he was ready?
there is a certain point of the process that we deem the finish point, a point where we recognize the individual as having completed treatment. They undergo their final session, and we give them a certification stating that they have completed treatment.
So what is the treatment like?
We still cannot discuss the details of the treatment.
Okay.
Private medical records are still stricken. And our records are, for the record, considered to be medical records, just in case you're thinking that there's some kind of non-medical treatment occurring here. It is deemed, and it is all approved by the council.
It's okay. We don't need to see his specific medical records. We just care about helping Phineas.
Well, then I would try to figure out what's got him so wound up lately. I don't know if there's issues at work, issues at home. To be honest with you, it kind of reminds me of when some of our employees get new partners. Sometimes they get an attitude, they might start... I don't want to make it sound like standing up for a person's self is a bad thing, but sometimes they stand up for themselves in situations where they got no ground to stand on. And it's hard in this business because when we let you go, there's certain things that have to happen when we let you go. And you might not really understand why it was you were let go. The nature of working here and the nature of not working here requires that your work here is privatized.
The change you mentioned in Phineas's attitude, was that gradual or just like a sudden change?
That's a good question. I do feel like it started with a couple of questions here and there. What I would feel like were harmless questions, but then they became more aggressive questions, more of the whys, and less of the curiosities about hows. Occasionally it can be quite difficult to administer some of the treatments, as he would get rather objective to them.
Well, I appreciate your insight on all of this. Does anyone else have any questions?
Is there anybody that he's particularly friendly with here? Not asking for names, but has he, built
Damn, you
strong
took my question.
relationships?
Shit. Good job.
He's not the type to get friendly with people. Phineas has always been a very loner type of person, keeps largely to himself. It's been
Has he had
easier to treat him because of that.
good relationships with staff?
The staff are indifferent to him, and he seems largely indifferent to them. Don't notice anything going on in any way between any of them that's unusual or above average.
You said his behavior seemed like somebody who had, recently experienced a more, to be delicate. Often, has he showed any designs on marriage or anything like that?
No, never heard him speak of such things. He doesn't really strike me as the marital type. I would really be surprised if even he would be able to find some kind of woman that would have an interest in him, or man if that's his preference, but that I'm aware of, I guess I don't know. I shouldn't be making such assumptions.
Fair enough. Has he showed any interest in, I'm throwing a real random shot out here, has he shown any interest in druidical circles?
No, the things... His interest is very far from that. I know that he has complained once about somebody bringing in an animal. So I don't know that animals are really his kind of thing.
Do you treat druids here?
Cannot disclose that. But I can say we treat a diverse group of people.
Okay, so you could treat druids, is what I'm asking.
Yes, we could treat druids.
How about demographically? Do you see a lot of druids?
In this demographical area, no, there are not a lot of druids.
Okay.
Is this all? I always feel uncomfortable having to answer questions about clients.
That's understandable. You want to protect their privacy.
Yes. Privacy is paramount.
So
I
now,
think
can
that's
you
all.
tell me how long you've been working here?
I still cannot disclose that.
Interesting.
I do believe that is all for me. If nobody else has any questions, we won't take up any more of your time. Relevant questions, Eli. Relevant questions.
Hey, I've asked a lot of good questions. Thank
You
you.
have
Melissa.
asked a lot of good questions.
Is there anyone that you think we should talk to try and help figuring out what's been going on with him?
I wouldn't know where to begin. My job is to provide treatment. I think it's your job to ask those kinds of questions.
So he's still been coming to treatment even though he's been less cooperative.
Yes, he has a certain obligation to these treatments, and if you were to cease them, all of you would have to get far more involved. It is at that point that we would request your services, not the other way around.
And he always comes alone to
Yes.
treatment?
He is alone every time that we've seen him.
I didn't know if perhaps one of his guardians waited for him.
No, they've had no part in it.
He can't help himself but get a dig in. It's pretty great.
Well, I will let you on your way. I hope you all have a rather pleasant day, and I hope you all find the wellness that you deserve.
I hope you have a synergistic tomorrow.
I most certainly shall. Thank you.
Be well.
I am. All right, the four of you can set out from the building. It's new information.
I
So
guess
we
should
have-
go back to chat, right?
Well, quick question. Is it still around the time that Phineas would be at work, or is it later
Phineas
now?
is still at work, yeah.
Then, yeah, I guess we go back and chat a little bit.
Okay. What is the nature of what you'll be discussing when you get back?
Well, I want to talk about what would be the best way to find out more about his work. I don't want to just show up at his work while he's there, so maybe if he has like an off day or something before our deadline, then I don't know. I don't want to be overbearing, but I would be wanting to talk to one of his coworkers. It seemed like that they hinted that there was, maybe something had changed at his work.
Yeah, I think that's some great stuff there.
Okay. So the plan is wait until after he finishes work and then head over to there?
Yes.
All right. You can wait it out.
Do we want to scout out around his work to see what it's like?
Oh, we could.
Yeah,
Maybe
let's see
go
if
a
we can
little
do it.
early.
What's that?
Maybe go a little early.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right.
What do you think, Freya?
Just Frey.
Frey. Sorry.
That sounds good to me.
The four of you can head to the part of town this business is in. It is a rather impressive size building in what passes for the more wealthy part of town. When you kind of close in on the building, it is a building made out of a very dark tinted glass. And the building is designed in a sort of like inner reflective way. So when you look into the glass, there are like mirrors that reflect kind of upon itself. And at different angles, the building looks like it has a different shape to it. Sometimes it looks like a perfect circle. Sometimes it looks kind of like octagonal. Sometimes it looks like it has like hundreds of little spikes all around it, or like, little sharp edges all around it. Sometimes it looks kind of squared off. It all depends on the angle you're standing and looking at the business from. But there's no like name on the building. There's no signage to indicate anything about the building.
Is there anywhere that looks like loading or unloading happens?
No,
Like,
not that style of building. This is more like an office building.
Is there anyone in the area that we can ask about? Like, if they know.
There are random
kind of-
people in the area, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of people, what kind of work they do there.
Yeah, you want to give me a diplomacy check? The person like looks at you and kind of, I got work to do, and heads into the building.
Yeah, if we had an investigator in our party, we'd be fucking. We'd be
Someone
aces.
with better social skills, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody.
I couldn't.
Okay. You will make your way over to one of the people, and they'll look at you a bit strangely as you approach, but they'll kind of straighten up. Yes. What can I do for you?
We were wondering if you could tell us what kind of work is done on this building.
It's very complex. It's very complex work. How familiar are you with the Maginette?
Well,
Give me a knowledge arcana.
About to say with my family.
Yeah. So you'll know that the Maginette is essentially a sort of arcane internet that people use. It is largely only accessible to people it's only really largely accessible to businesses or people of significant wealth. Most people will never really access it unless they're having someone else use it to get information for them. But it is a large place where various data is stored, where there are people have almost referred to it as a parallel to the astral plane, where the astral plane is kind of a place where wizards go to think. The Maginette is a place where even non-wizards can go to exchange information or to compile information of their own for better use. We work within the Maginette to ensure the accurate transport of properties from one point within the Maginette to another, making sure that they are allocated as proper interests see fit.
What? Proper interest?
Yes.
What does that mean?
whomever is interested in the segment that we are accessing has it moved to whatever new segment it is supposed to be in. Think of it like if someone were to ask you to take that box and move it to over there. We sort of do that, only in a more magic-oriented kind of way.
Oh, you work there?
Yes.
Has anything changed at the company recently?
Not that I'm aware of. We've been doing the same business for at least the last 70 or so years.
One of my friends works there. I wonder if you know him.
I don't know. I don't know a lot of people. There's a lot of people that work within there, but perhaps whom are you curious about?
Phineas Ashworth?
Not familiar. No.
How long have you worked there?
I've been with the business for about 5 years now.
Oh, how do you like it?
Tough work. Allocation is sometimes a very difficult process. And we have to make sure that things are properly allocated and that we've gone through the right channels to ensure that its allocation is compliant. And we always make sure that allocation is compliant.
Do your bosses treat you well?
I say so. With the complexity of information and the value of what we work with, it is very important that we are all well compensated. If any one of us were to feel unappreciated or overwhelmed, it's very easy that we might cause major disruptions, which would be bad for not only us but all the people that we are interconnected to by our work.
That's good. A lot of places don't. Well,
Sign me up.
I'm not sure you would be the type. He looks down at your is that a pet?
I think the term now is compatible.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's your companion?
Mm-hmm.
Dear God. With that?
Well, I mean, everybody's got to be friends with somebody. I mean, by now, I'm probably pretty used to people, like, being freaked out by a hyena, right?
But as a companion?
Oh, yeah, they're great companions. I mean, they eat a lot. Don't you? You don't want them, I notice people let their dogs lick their face. That's not going on here. You know what I mean? You don't want a hyena licking your face. They do enjoy carrion. And I think she is very responsive.
Perhaps. I suppose whatever the Druids have gotten passed into law is what they've gotten passed into law. So, it's no business of mine.
Do you work with many Druids?
No. Druids don't often like what we do. They think it wasteful.
Are there any
people.
Druid groups that are opposed to your work?
Maybe. I don't know. Don't really keep up with what they're doing.
I gotcha.
What's all this questioning about here?
Druids are opposed to everything.
Oh, we're just gathering some information. Want to make sure that everyone here is happy and well taken care of.
Seems a little odd. All the four of you just suddenly come walking up here.
We are a little odd.
I thought maybe I was in trouble for something, but if you don't mind, I'd like to get back to work. I've been on
Certainly.
break a little
Thank you
too
for
long.
your time.
Yeah. They will head inside.
We're going to grab him and throw him off the building.
Stabler style, bitch!
Stabler style.
Hashtag Stabler style.
So good. That was some pretty good questioning, y'all.
All right. You guys are gonna wait until. Well, I guess. Do you guys even know what Phineas looks like?
You know, he's an elf.
Didn't we get a picture of him in his file, I thought?
Trying to remember. I don't remember there being a picture in the file.
I don't remember one being presented, but that just could have been, I forgot.
Well,
We
did we see when he was arguing with
You
his
did.
guardians?
You saw when he came into the house.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Nice.
So if you guys keep a watch, let me get some perception checks from everybody. One from each of you.
I keep a close watch on the side of my...
Good job there, Frey.
doing the good work. Staring at a wall.
Ray's watching their butterfly fly around.
Yep. But Eli and Narissa have their eyes on the prize. You will both see Phineas as he starts leaving the building.
Does he look any certain way, like distressed or anything like that?
No? Just, like, focused on wherever he's going.
I'll nudge Frey and kind of, sort of do my head this way, but not overtly like, hey, look, there he is. Just kind of like,
He's doing the cop nod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess I would wait for him to get out of sight before we head for the building.
Okay. Hey, you all can head to the building after he disappears around one of the corners. Inside, you walk into this very grand foyer. There is a very large stone desk that sits towards the center of it. And there are a pair of individuals who are dressed in these kind of spider-webbed wrappings that will approach you as you come in. What seems to be the trouble there, officers?
No trouble, but we were hoping to speak with one of your employment resource officers.
Yes. What's this regarding? I gotta let him know.
Right. It's regarding the welfare of one of your employees, Phineas Ashworth.
Very well. Hold on one moment. The person's eyes kind of start to go like a flat black. And then after a moment, their eyes return to their natural appearance. Head to the circle in the back. You'll be taken right there.
You.
The four of you can head over to the circle indicated. And I will need a fort save from all four of you.
Oh, wow. Damn. That's brutal, Steve.
All right. Frey, your body is filled with intense pain as you feel yourself kind of... it's almost like something is kind of tearing at you as you gradually disappear from view. And eventually you'll kind of recompose on the other side. And I will need you to take... 9 points of damage.
Ouch.
The rest of you materialize just fine.
Do we see what happened to Fred?
No, there doesn't seem to be any. It just feels really painful.
That's a rough way to get places.
A person at a small desk clears their throat to get your attention. Oh, you're not familiar with how these systems work, are you? Sad it is sometimes that people don't get much operation with them. Yes, if you're not properly prepared, it can be rather painful. The process of arcanization is not a very comfortable endeavor, after all. But, yes, I believe I was told that you're here to speak about Phineas Ashworth, is that correct?
That is correct,
Mhm.
yes.
Yes. I am to understand that he is currently being overseen by, a mutual benefactor. Is this correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Might you have any documentation to prove your interaction with this mutual benefactor?
I will produce my badge.
No, not what I mean. The mutual benefactor, not just the job that you have.
Oh, you mean like this warrant?
Yes. He'll look at the warrant, he'll look down at the signature, and he will pass it back to you. Perfect. That is exactly what I would like to have seen.
Nice. Well done.
What questions might you have?
Well, we have some concerns about Phineas's behavior. It seems to have changed a bit in the past couple of weeks. We were wondering how he's been here at work. Has he been the same? Have you noticed any changes in his behavior?
From time to time, he's pushing back on projects, something we've never seen out of Phineas. Phineas has always done the work that's been placed on his plate, without asking any questions aside from those that pertain directly to getting the job done more efficiently. He's been one of the greatest hires we've ever had. Occasionally, he might ask a question or two about the integrity of the situation, but he understands that his particular skills allow him to do so much more than what the layperson's idea of integrity might be.
Have you noticed him? Has he made any, has he been speaking with anyone differently lately at work, or?
Phineas seems almost to hate people at times. But
Oof.
according to the record, one of the things we are seeing out of his speaking, is a lot more behaviors and using words like, he keeps thinking that someone is out to frame him. He said this word a lot. He keeps arguing that the projects that we're putting him on are going to get him in a lot of trouble. Now, he doesn't seem to understand the position that he's in and the benefit that he has in working for us, and the amount of security that we have, and various other requirements that we have made sure we are compliant with to get to the circumstances that we are in. But he speaks as though we have other motives. Very unlike him. Most unusual.
And he's not been working more, he's not been under any stress as far as the amount of workload or anything like that?
We are very careful to ensure that our staff do not work more than the hours that we give them. In fact, it is a regular and commonplace thing that we, as some businesses would argue, underwork our staff. It is more important to us that our employees be of the most sound mind for what they're doing than it is that things get done in the perfect accuracy of time.
I'll kind of turn to the others. Do any of you all have a question?
How long has he worked here?
for a few years now, if I'm not mistaken.
How is his relationship with his manager?
Normally fine. As I said, work is placed on his plate, and he completes it. Up until recently, there have been no altercations between the two of them.
Is there anyone that he regularly works closely with? Any other staff?
No. It is very hard to pair him off with anybody. Even when there is somebody who's working adjacent to the work that he's doing, it is often quite difficult to get him not to just end up trying to take over their work.
Has anything changed recently with his attendance or any of kind of his patterns about coming to religion work?
With Phineas, I could literally set my watch by his arrival and departure times.
You said you kept claiming that you were trying, that the company was trying to frame him. What does he think? Has he mentioned what he thinks you want to do with that?
We work largely with a very significant amount of various different things. I wish I could go into more detail, but there are certain things I'm not allowed to disclose, and that would take too long to explain here anyway. But in moving these things, you have to understand that we engage with a lot of organizations, and some of these organizations may be ones that people might morally object to, or people might believe to be one thing or another. People get wild ideas in their heads. So we might facilitate something between two differing organizations, and people might assume that we're up to some sort of nefarious action. We do make sure we have all the documentation, but we have to remind our staff on a regular basis that it is up to them to do their job and not ask questions. Many of these arrangements are designed to be as private as possible, so the reasoning behind them is not one we are allowed to share in the interest of proper secrecy of exchange.
Do you know of anyone that might try to recruit Phineas against your organization? Is there anyone that might have some kind of maybe putting these ideas in his head that there's something wrong with what you're doing?
I wouldn't say so. Our competition does not usually work our competition does not usually try to work on ruining our own staff. This is what we are starting to do now is relatively unstable at the moment in many ways, and if one of our organizations were to look like we were not doing a good enough job, all of our organizations would suffer for the insecurity. I don't know if you remember when all those countries long times ago I'm sorry, not all those countries. Here's problem was different than theirs. I'm not sure if you remember, but there was a big comeuppance a while back about the proper usage of illicit substances and how we could integrate them more safely into society. When all of that was going on, there were a lot of groups that were worried that one group might spike it and ruin it for everybody else. That there might be espionage and one might muddle the mixture. But the problem was, if even one of them were to fail, everyone's trust in the system would fail, and the whole project would implode upon itself. It was a very, very secure and safe way that things are done. Not like it is in these days now. Just anyone on the streets can buy a drug whenever they want from many people. We need to get that regulation back, and I'm sorry, I should not be bringing politics into the workplace.
It's okay. I appreciate your perspective. So, I need a moment to think. Frey, did you have any questions for them?
Not that I can think of. Anyone else?
You guys are doing bang up job.
So to summarize, just to make sure that I have this correct, so Phineas previously was a model employee, did his work, didn't really ask questions other than the occasional, question maybe about
methodology of the
there you go.
Yes.
And and then now he is more aggressive as far as asking questions, paranoid, thinking that you all are trying to set him up.
Yes.
That's not good at all.
Could we talk to the manager?
I am as close to his manager as you'll be allowed to speak, unfortunately. There is a certain security obligation we have that managerial staff are not to be known on an individual basis. If there were something about this case that led us to believe that his manager had any additional details or anything like it, we could work out some arrangement, but we do prefer to keep our managerial staff safe without a proper warrant directed to them. And, well, I appreciate all of the work that Grand Justicar Rhyme has done for our city. Even her signature will not get her access to this. You would need near a councilman's signature in order to get what you would want.
Is there anything else you can tell us about the interactions with the manager?
I think that's all that really stands out to me.
Okay.
Have you had any dealings with any druids?
No, what a bizarre question.
You'd be surprised, yeah.
It may be nothing. It's just sort of a something we've come across that we're just asking about if there's any known connection with druids.
No, this is not in the realm of druids. Completely different magics.
Well, I thank you for your time, and hopefully we can figure out what is going on and help get Phineas back on the right path.
Sure, I hope so too. It's sad to see his performance dwindling. Still well above the rest of everyone else, but it would be nice to see it back on track.
Yes.
Good day to you all.
Good day.
Thanks.
And I need another round of fortitude saves.
Ugh. Oi.
Alright, all of you are fine this time around. The DC lowers quite significantly each time you interact with it.
Where's Debobi been through all of this? Has she been coming in with us, or?
Debobe would not have been allowed inside, so...
I assume if we don't mention it, Debobe is sitting in the nearby area, kind of quietly eyeing potential children to eat or something horrible.
People's pets look quite yummy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, more answers.
More questions.
Good.
Doing some good investigating here.
Would there be any way for us to basically track Phineas's route home, to his home? Would we be able to possibly use Debobe to smell out his scent, so we could see the route?
You don't have his scent.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Ooh,
that's true.
yeah. Wow, what a fucking rookie move there. Wow, yeah. Very good, Jess. We should have,
I should have thought of that,
we should have, well, that's all right. It's my animal friend. I should have thought of it.
But I mean, he does follow the same path, at least from what you guys know of. It sounds like he does the same things over and over again. He's always there at the same time, leaves about the same time.
Well, maybe we should go on over to his home, and if we still don't get any answers, or if it's necessary, maybe we can follow him tomorrow if need be.
Well, we have the fake warrant, right?
It's not really a fake warrant.
It's technically
just
a
not
real
filed.
warrant. It's just not filed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pre-filed warrant.
But yeah,
Is everyone?
What?
I was gonna say, is everyone okay with us heading over to?
Yeah. I'd like to pick up a scent here. I can't. Not me particularly, but I'll do whatever it takes.
All right. The four of you can head over to the Brearley residence.
All right, so we're bringing in the investigation hyena. Is that right?
What's our strategy this time? 'Cause last
Yeah,
time didn't go
that's what
so
I'm.
well.
That's what I'm making the joke about. Like, are we? How
Well,
are we doing?
we definitely need to speak with Mr. Brearley this time. See what we can get from him. If possible, it'd be good to speak with Phineas. I don't know if anything will have changed between last night and tonight, but it had occurred to me that perhaps we could bluff, tell him that we're trying to help him, so that his company can't set him up, maybe play into his paranoia a little bit.
That's dangerous. How good are you at bluffing?
I'm decent at it.
How good are you at multitasking, playing with the cat while GMing? He's so cute.
I gotta reward him if he comes over and starts meowing for me.
Oh yes.
We just need a way to figure out how to connect with Phineas. It sounds like that something major has changed, and we're hearing about these, he's questioning everything. He's paranoid about his work. I mean, for all we know, maybe they are setting him up for something, but we just need some way to connect with him so that he will talk with us.
Who wants to go in as our lead?
Who's our most charismatic person?
Frey would probably be the logical choice, although I don't mind assuming the lead if we need.
I will do my best.
You got it.
All right.
You can do this.
Frey, you head on up to the door. The door will open, and once again there you will see Cecilia standing. Oh, it's you again.
It is indeed.
What's this about this time?
You told us to come back today?
Did I?
Yeah, to speak with Phineas.
Sorry. I've been very tired today.
I understand yesterday was quite rough.
It was. I suppose come in.
Would we be able to also speak with Mr. Brearley today?
What do you want to speak to him for?
Oh, just some basic questions.
She'll walk away for a moment, and after a little while, he'll come out with her. He'll look over the four of you, and he'll look specifically to Eli. And
He means Mr. Brearley, right?
yes. And in Halfling, he will say to you, what brought you out here?
Hi. I'm
Hi.
Eli. I say in common.
He goes quiet again.
What's your name?
I guess this can be said in either language, so he will repeat back, Matthew.
Nice to meet you.
He'll
What do you
reply in
ask?
halfling, nice to meet you.
Why did you ask what brought me out here? Like, to
in
talk to you?
in halfling, he'll reply, no, what brought you to this city?
Oh. Oh, it's a long story.
Give
But
me
I don't
the
want to
abridged
waste your
version,
time with that.
please.
Well, I'm a traveler. I like exploring different parts of the world and getting to have new experiences.
And what made you feel like becoming one of these was a good idea?
I don't know, I like being helpful. They picked me.
What brought you out here?
Love.
Oh,
He nods his head.
how
That's
did you
some
two,
that's some love there. I
how
can
did
tell
you
by
two
that.
meet?
Well, I was living out east. It was just not the life that I felt should have been. Her and some of her friends had come out on one of their educational trips to learn about how crops were made and the magic that goes into keeping them going. She participated in one of our harvest festivals. It was very interesting to have somebody with her kind of energy at such a simple event.
Good old harvest festivals.
They are great, aren't they? One of the few good times that we get to have.
Great time, in fact.
Yes.
Do you miss home?
Oh no. I utterly hate the monotony that goes into all of the work, making sure that things keep going the way they're going. Out
What do you
here,
do here?
I work in private securities.
Oh, that sounds fancy. Wait, is that like security guard, or security is like money?
Largely with people's finances, yes.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
It's my job to ensure the proper transfer of funds from one location to another.
Oh, like with the Maginet?
These are physical funds, not
Oh.
illusory funds, as I prefer to think of it. I respect what young Phineas does. I guess so weird sometimes thinking of him as young. I'm so young yet so old. Anyway, well, I respect what Phineas does. I am worried about what it means for some of the rest of our people. Simpler people like you and I that are going to have to switch from real money to
Cryptocurrency?
fake money. Money that exists as just runes on a stone.
Yeah, I really don't know much at all about that.
Heard of people even, investing in just like a picture.
Oh, this is all in halfling, so.
Oh, then I've not heard anything.
Well, it's nice to meet you.
Agreed. So what is it that you all want to speak to me about?
Is that
What
in
did he
common?
say?
Nope, everything is in halfling.
Do
Oh,
you mind if
I'm
we
just
speak
sitting
in
there
common?
like a chump.
I
'Cause
do.
The rest of them can't understand.
I do
that.
mind, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to say in common. Well, friends, if you have questions, ask them to me and I will ask them in halfling.
Oh, I understand them in common. I just prefer to speak in common, so I would be fine
mean in
answering you,
halfling?
or in halfling. I would be fine answering you,
Oh, okay.
or answering the questions to you. My common just is not so good. I spent a long time learning halfling, and then learning gnome made it harder to remember certain things in common. So sometimes all three languages get a little blended, and then people get... You know how people are, they're so mean.
Was his messages to the attorney in common?
His letters to the attorney were very difficult to read.
Okay. I just wondered if, like, I mean, I obviously didn't understand what he just said, but I'm just wondering if...
Yeah, his handwriting is not great. So they could have been in common, they could have been in gnomish, they could have been nothing. But somehow the attorney was able to read them, so...
I guess I'll look at Eli and say, well, we were just wondering why it was that you were telling Mr. Conley that everything was okay when Phineas clearly hasn't been okay. Were you just hoping that he would get better?
How did you get the letters from Conley?
We've been asked to look into what's going on with Phineas. People are worried about him.
I get that, but... What did you see in the letters?
It sounded like you were saying, wait, I'm confused. I thought the letters said that he...
You didn't read the letters, you were told what the letters said.
Right, I'm just trying to remember what we were told the letter said versus what she had said yesterday.
That everything was fine. That
But
he
the
seemed to be
letters
doing okay.
Didn't say that, right?
No, the letters
said
inferred that he was fine.
And what did she infer?
She inferred that she had no knowledge of anything.
Oh,
That she had no knowledge there was no communication going on with the attorney, is what she inferred. The question that you guys were concerned with was, the attorney had said, or you guys thought that the attorney had said that there was no communication. She said that she was unaware that there was no communication.
But then there's these letters that
Yes.
were essentially saying...
Yeah.
Essentially
What the
saying-
attorney had actually been explaining is he needs to have direct communication with Phineas, but Matthew has been sending letters to him to let him know that everything is okay. But the rest of the details of the letters you're not really aware of.
Seems like Phineas has been having a hard time lately.
Yeah, he's been a little out of touch.
He said he's been out of touch. Do you know what changed?
I don't. We were doing so well together. He really has been like a son to me.
Translate.
How long has Phineas been acting differently?
Few days, maybe? Doesn't feel like that long, but the impact feels strong.
We thought it'd been a few weeks.
Not to me.
Oh, okay.
In fact, for a while, he was much more engaging with me. I thought maybe I'd finally broken through with him. We had a lot of very interesting conversations about how similar our jobs were, about the future. We had a few rather inspired conversations about our differences. I really thought that we were going to be able to get somewhere. But then abruptly it just stopped. He didn't want to talk anymore about things. He didn't seem to care what I had to say.
Did he
I'm
start
very sad.
hanging out with anyone different? get a partner of perhaps someone he's
Phineas?
interested in?
People don't engage with Phineas, and Phineas doesn't engage with people.
Ever?
Ever that I've seen.
Oh, maybe he kept it a secret. He had a crush on someone or something.
I've got a crush on you.
Perhaps, but I don't know where he would find the time. His schedule is so regimented. I mean, there'd have to be, like, someone crawling in his window.
Ooh.
Come to my window.
Phineas would never let anyone in his window.
Oh.
That's absurd.
So you mean he's pretty busy between work and treatment?
Yes.
Have they found any fox hair in Phineas's room?
Oh, what? Phineas doesn't
I like
even
it.
like animals. Why would there be fox hair in his room?
Just sort of if there's something out of place in his room. Something
Also,
that
part of our terms is that now that he's an adult, we have no... It is against the agreement for us to invade his privacy.
Does that mean you don't go in his room?
We do not.
he does his own cleaning.
Yes, he handles his own affairs. Aside from eating and whatnot.
Has anything like this happened before where he went through periods of being less engaged?
No. Less engaged is a bit questionable. We could say that he was less engaged when he first arrived, and sometimes during work periods he might be a little less engaged. But overall, these are usually just very short-lived and not nearly as extreme. Less engaged is he might just grab dinner and disappear afterwards. But normally we would exchange a few words from time to time. No deep conversations, but...
What term would you use to describe how he's been in the last few days?
I would describe him a gopher. Takes what it
gopher?
wants and disappears.
And you have no idea what might have changed, right?
There's nothing that I have seen to lead me to believe that there's anything that's changed, aside from his attitude.
Yeah, it's just weird because it sounds like there's change at his work, there's change at the treatment, there's change at home.
I didn't realize there was change anywhere else. I mean, I know he hadn't been going off to see Cillian, but
you don't know why? You didn't say why he had stopped meeting that obligation?
I just thought that it's another social obligation that he didn't want to. That's why I've been sending the letters. To let him know that everything is okay. I don't need him to fall out of contact.
You don't think it was just a social obligation?
It sort of is. There's just a checkup process to make sure that everything is going okay.
Right, and if he stops coming, that means things aren't going okay.
But I was following up. I was making sure there were letters going out. We kept up communication.
Right, but it has to come from him.
No, I don't think so. It should be fine. We just need a little more time. Everything will be okay.
What is it that you're doing to try and fix the gopher status?
Well, normally when you have a gopher, you just need to lure it out.
Right, so what are you doing to lure him?
You put the food a little further out of reach. You make the food have requirements.
Oh, so what does this translate to in real life?
So he's no longer able to eat the food in his room. He, for a while, started taking the food with him. He argued with us that, you know, he was an adult and he should have the right. And we reminded him that he may be an adult, but he is an adult in our home, and we would rather food not get stuck in the bedroom. He tried to argue that it's his right to be able to, he's able to clean up after himself. But I, you know, reminded him that, well, you might. We don't have any way to verify that, and if we start having to deal with ants, you know, ants begat spiders, spiders begat bigger creatures, and the next thing you know, we have a rodent problem.
Has his appetite changed at all? Has he been eating more or less?
You know, seems to be the same.
Is this your home that you live in?
It is, yes.
Okay, and so he only started living here when you moved in?
Yes.
I will just say, I know that you don't have the best opinion of the knights, but ultimately, we care about Phineas. We just want to make sure that he is okay, that he isn't being put under pressure or feels like someone's forcing him not to do these things. He has a few more days leeway here, but he really needs to talk to Mr. Conley as soon as possible.
I'll see what I can do.
Can we talk to him?
We can try. He'll step away and head over to the door and knock. After a moment, the door will open, and he'll step inside. Some time will pass. And then Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do we hear like raised voices or anything?
No. After a few moments, the two of them, or after a few minutes have passed, the two of them will come back out into the main room. Phineas stands rather tall, especially next to the two of them, and just kind of quietly stares at Narissa.
Hello.
Hi.
Do you know why we're here?
No.
We're here because we're with the Knights. We're here because you haven't been communicating with Mr. Conley.
So?
Well, we just wondered if there was a reason why that was.
Yes.
And what is that reason?
Don't want to.
And why not? Because...
What changed?
He'll turn and look at you and kind of like shake his head for a moment. Why?
Why what?
Why do you care?
We're worried about you. Something's different.
What are you really here for?
Try and figure out what's going on.
Sure.
Do you feel that you're being threatened by anyone?
What would you do if I said I was?
Well, then we would look into it and try to help in any way we could.
And how would you help?
It would depend on the nature of the threat. Sometimes there are things that you can take care of in a legal fashion, and then there are sometimes that force is required. It just depends on what you tell us as to what our actions are.
Who are all of you?
My name's Narissa. I am a knight.
Hi,
I'll show him my badge.
I'm Eli.
I'll also have my badge ready.
I am Frey with the Knights as well.
What if I were to tell you that I'm certain that someone is trying to kill me?
That sounds really scary.
We
How
would
can
certainly
help
take
you?
it seriously, yeah.
What action
Yeah.
would you take?
We'd need to know who the person was or persons, and again, it depends on who they are, but we would do our best to make sure that you were safe.
Good. My parents are trying to kill me.
Your guardian
Good night,
or your
everyone.
dead parents?
Thanks for watching.